So I'm just here in Berlin in the St. Christopher Bitter Hostel, and it's pretty good. It is far bigger than I ever realised it was. I was thinking maybe 20, 30 people, but actually when you turn up here, it is over 200. They have their own bar, they have their own seating and lounging areas downstairs, self-laundry. They have absolutely everything here, and this is one of my best accidental picks ever for hostels. And this is always one of the great things about travelling in hostels. You never entirely know what you're going to find. You can find some gems in the hostel itself, some gems of the people you meet, and as I say, it's always good to meet new people when you're travelling, because you can get ideas for your next travels, or just meeting new people in general is always good, especially if you're going out and about visiting and being a little bit touristy at times. So I would definitely recommend someone like this, and as always I'd recommend checking out some of the hostels you can find on places like Hostel World. So I am just here in Bebelplatz. As you can see around me, this is the site many years ago in history for book burnings under the Nazis, surrounded by the National Opera and universities. But today, as you can see, it is the place of the Christmas markets for which Germany is so famous. And it's just a sign of how quickly, how easily and how well something like this can be transformed into now being a place of joy and merriment. And of course I couldn't be at a Christmas market and not have glühwein. I'm in Germany, it's a Christmas market, it had to be done, and it is a particularly nice one. Now, do be aware, if you're coming to Germany and you're going to have glühwein Christmas market, you're going to do the whole thing. Do be aware that you get a proper little mug, little cup here, but you will have to pay a deposit on this, and most Christmas markets are cash only. So even for myself, I had a little run around there having to find the cash point, because I've been doing everything by card to make sure that I had the cash to get my glühwein, because it had to be done. But obviously if you're in Germany, it's Christmas time, you can't go wrong with a nice warm glühwein to see in the colder winter nights. So I'm just at the Bode Museum in Berlin, which is deceptively large. If you go inside, there are many doors that you're going to be going through and seeing more and more of this place. There are collections in there from all throughout time, and if you're looking for something that you like in museums, it's probably in there. It's definitely someone to check out, and it gives a little history of the museum as well. So you'll find a lot of interesting things just about Germany itself in there, as well as everything else. So I'm just in here with Max that I met at the hostel. So as I always say, it's always good to just find someone at the hostel as well to hang out. And then we found ourselves here, always good. Okay, so just here at one of Berlin's many Christmas markets. Obviously, this is where they come from, more specifically Nuremberg, but you can't actually get rid of them in Berlin either. There's about 170 markets across the entire city, and they are just flooded with lights. So me and Max are about to go and check one out. So let's see. And in my eyesight right now is the Brandenburg Gate, probably one of the most famous sites in the whole of Berlin. It was originally constructed in the late 18th century as a start point for the road to Brandenburg and the Havel, and is the former site of the city gate itself. At the moment we have the Christmas tree in front of it, as we are in the Christmas season. But as you can see around me, there are people kind of almost flocked around it. It is an incredibly famous and incredibly well visited part of the city. if you're in a city as old as Berlin that has such magnificent architecture all around, then it's always a good idea to check out their local cathedral. And Berlin Cathedral, as you can see, is absolutely beautiful. It is an architectural marvel amongst other architectural marvels that you'll see within this city. There are so many beautiful buildings and statues here, and yet still somehow this building behind me still stands out. It's always worth to come to buildings like this to see the history of a city and to see how beautifully they maintain their buildings. If you in any way have an eye to history, then when you're in Berlin, one place that is impossible to avoid is of course the Berlin Wall. Constructed 14 years after the start of the Cold War in 1961, it was still the representation, a physical representation of a separation between one side of the world and the other, a separation of politics, of economics, and of everything in between. Now, it wasn't until 1989 that in the dead of night, locals began to take down this wall. And there are only remnants left. As you can see behind me, there are several gaps, and there are very few large parts like this that still remain. In fact, across the city, you'll find 3 or 4 different places come up if you try to look for this, if you're looking for somewhere to visit, and they are vastly far apart, as in an hour plus walk. So if you do want to check out all areas that are still standing, you may want to take a taxi. But this is a reminder of a time in our recent history when we were so separated, and a reminder to not let it happen again. Just in a place called Generator here in Berlin, here with another person from the Hostel. Doesn't want to be on camera, but this is a lot of fun. You'll find this all over Berlin. It is really known for its kind of nightlife, its music, its full-on dance culture, and it's definitely something to experience at least one time in your life. I mean, where I am now is a mix of a bar, a sports place downstairs, a hostel, kind of all wrapped into one, and they're all over Berlin. And then you've got your clubs, you've got your weird dress codes for some clubs, and everything in between. Definitely something to experience if you're coming here, no matter the time of year. So unlike in many places around the world where Christmas Day means you stay in with family, you don't go out much, there's nothing really open. As you can see, that is not the case here in Berlin, with so many people still in the streets, coming round the Christmas tree, around the Brandenburg Gate, and everything in between. This is where you want to be if you want to make sure that you're not alone, that you can interact with people and have a laugh on Christmas Day. Berlin seems to have it down.